Bam, we're recording.
What's up?
Yeah, so this week we have Allyson Kramer on from manifestvegan.com.
And XGFX.
.com.
I don't know if they're .com.
I think it's .com. She has two awesome vegan food
Probably
blogs.
check that.
But this week our intro got all fucked up. And so we're having to re-record the day we're supposed to release. That's why Jordan's via Skype right now. Huh, Jordan?
Yep.
Now, all this shit wouldn't happen if we would get our Kickstarter funded.
No, it would not.
It totally would not. We would have all of this taken care of. We'd have the proper equipment. And we would sound a million times better instead of like we're in the bottom of a well and all echoey and picks up everything that happens in the room. Yeah. So
we have like 15 backers, 16 backers now.
Yeah, we got 2 more today. So thank you so those that came through.
But still, as of right now, we need about $111 a day to meet our goal. And
so get some fucking hoodies. The hoodies are awesome.
They're $80 right now for our Resurrection Special.
Our Resurrection Special. That's right. Today also being Easter Day, we wanted to celebrate the death of Jesus.
And the resurrection.
Well, that's debatable.
Zombies.
Jesus.
And so you can get the hoodies as well as the Riot Pack for $80 right now.
That's 20% off, motherfuckers.
20% off. And you can also get an add-on shirt for $35, and that doesn't include anything else. Just the shirt.
Or you can get a hoodie and a shirt because you're a badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
You can get any of the other packs that include both.
That's right. So, yeah, check us out. Go to our Kickstarter or go to our Tumblr, whichsidepodcast.tumblr.com, and go to our Kickstarter from there, or search us on Kickstarter and give us your fucking money.
Or just steal it for us.
Yeah, or just seriously, or just steal us all the shit we need. I'll give you a list. That's totally cool. Dumpster dive it.
Just don't tell us it's stolen.
Oh yeah, no, we can't accept it if we know it's stolen. But anyone who inquires about a list of all the equipment we need, I'll gladly give you that list. I'll also give you an anonymous PO box you can mail it to. And we will burn all correspondence upon receipt, so no worries there.
Make sure the serial numbers are not on them.
Yeah, and if they are, I have a Dremel tool.
We are kidding.
Well, I mean, I do have a Dremel tool.
Yeah, and I do have an anonymous pill. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay, well, I guess here's Allyson, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
Hello, this is Allyson.
Hey, how's it going? This is Jordan.
Hi, Jordan. How are you?
Doing
Can
well.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. And
Great.
And I'm Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
How are you doing? Oh, you just answered. So.
all right, so we usually just start things right off if that's all right with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So,
I want to start off by acknowledging my ignorance on being gluten-free.
You're not alone.
I've been vegan for a very long time, and I completely understand that. But I totally just don't get gluten-free.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get. Well, I had to get it because I have celiac disease, which means that it's not quite an allergy. It's actually an autoimmune disorder that makes my insides essentially intolerant to gluten. So I was vegan before I found this out, and that was just something I kind of had to work with, if you get my drift.
No, totally. So would you be gluten-free if you didn't have celiacs? Would you make that choice?
Hell no. Absolutely not. No way. That's one of the, I mean, I look at pictures of bread and I just, I miss it so much. I mean, real bread with gluten, definitely.
Yeah.
And then there's seitan and all that other stuff that's fun that I can't have.
So how bad is your celiac? Because I know celiac ranges from very mild to extreme.
I would say now it's extreme, but I was actually, what started it, it's a disease that kind of gets triggered. I think you always have the gene for it in, your body or whatever. And then, something could happen and make it triggered, or it can start in childhood. Mine was triggered because I got meningitis, in 2005, I think 2004 or 2005. And immediately after that, I started noticing all these weird symptoms happening with my body, rashes all over my face, lethargy, I guess. I was just tired all the time. I had horrible arthritis that I never had before. A lot of bizarre symptoms, stomach bloating and stuff like that. So that went on for like 5 years, and I didn't know I had celiac disease, and nor did my doctors. I went to a lot of specialists and neurologists. And nobody really knew what was wrong with me. Celiac disease wasn't very common. It wasn't commonly diagnosed. I don't know how common it was. But my doctors were all perplexed, and so was I. And then finally, after just desperation and on my doctor's part and on mine, I got hooked up with a med student that was doing his dissertation in autoimmune disorders. And he said, you definitely have one. We're just trying to figure out which one it is. And after that, he said, I think that it might be celiac or rheumatoid arthritis. What we're going to have you do for celiac is, we'll do the biopsy test. And if you go gluten-free, then, and after that you go gluten-free and the symptoms subside, then we'll know what it is. And if not, then we'll test for rheumatoid arthritis. And at the time I had been dabbling in raw veganism because I was feeling horrible and just desperate. And I said, actually, I don't think I've been eating gluten for very long, about 20 days now. And most of my symptoms are gone. And so they concluded that, with the blood test and everything, we're not going to make you eat gluten again. I don't even remember my point was initially, but basically that's how it all happened. And, it was one of those things where it was not really a choice anymore. Nowadays, my symptoms are very severe if I have even just a slight touch of gluten. So I would say it's more on the severe side of things. I still have a lot of issues symptoms that have come up because of it that I probably could have prevented had I known I had the disease earlier than I did. Like neurological problems where I get just phantom, horrible, excruciating pains for no reason if I get gluten or anything in my system. So yeah, it's great.
So if gluten is like this terrible thing, what is the reason that it behaves one way in some people and doesn't in others?
I think it's just one of those things where you have the certain gene type that I do. And, I don't know enough about my family history. My father passed away when I was younger, so I don't, but he was very sick. So I would think that maybe he had that gene as well. And it's a hereditary thing. So, just like any other disease where certain things react. It's basically like your cilia, celiac inside of your stomach lining. They kind of like die off if you're eating gluten. It like kills them. So you can't absorb nutrients and you can't do certain things. But yeah, why it affects certain people and not others, I am not really sure about that.
I gotta tell you, that scares the shit out of me because 4 years ago, my grandma was diagnosed with celiac disease.
Oh gosh.
And she's a little on the milder end, but she's completely gluten-free now. But that scares the shit out of me that it might present itself so late in age. I mean, she was diagnosed in her 70s.
Wow, that's really late. I've heard it's diagnosed between early or later adolescence to before you're like 30 or something. And I don't really know that. I mean, I think I was, maybe 24 or 25 at the time when I got meningitis. And then I don't know what, 27 or something when I got diagnosed. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I haven't heard of it coming in that late. That's all.
They think she had it way long. It was just never diagnosed. She's just one of those crazy old ladies that just lives life and accepts like, this is how shitty my life is. I well, I don't need to talk to a doctor about it.
Yeah, I
So-
was kind of like that too. I understand that sentiment. I mean, and I didn't trust doctors. A lot of them were just doing nothing for me, and they're like, "Well, we don't know. It could be just stress or something." And I'm like, I don't really know if that could be really stress. It seemed pretty bad but did she have a lot of symptoms that subsided after she stopped eating gluten?
A lot of them. It took a little while before a lot of them really started to go away. But it really helped her out a lot. But she's one of the few people that I interact with that are actually gluten-free on a regular basis. And the only thing that I've taken away from her is that the bread tastes like shit.
Yeah. It's not the same. It's just not. And then there's no beer, and like it's just like I don't know. It's a difficult thing. I mean, there's certain gluten-free beers and certain gluten-free breads, and just like old
Never
school
even
vegan
thought about
cheese.
beer.
Yeah, I never thought about beer either. That's something that it makes sense. It just,
Yeah.
It's crazy. I actually one of my coworkers was actually gluten-free also. And she was extremely excited when she found out we were going to have you on the podcast. She loves your blog.
Oh, great. Yay, hello.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. But so what are the health benefits of being gluten-free? Or is it really just one of those things that you have to do if you have to do it?
Yeah, that's my take on it. I have to do it, so I do it. I do get, a ton of emails and a ton of questions about that. I know others give up gluten for various reasons. Like a lot of my friends, not a lot, a few of my friends are gluten intolerant, or they don't tolerate gluten very well, kind of like being lactose intolerant or something.
Right.
Like, they can eat it, it won't kill them, it won't give them cancer, it won't give them debilitating problems on the couch for several days. However, it doesn't set well with them.
Makes them gassy.
Yeah, or something like that. So people do that. Other people try it out as weight loss. I can't speak to that. So I don't really know. I personally do it because before I got diagnosed, I considered writing a will. Like I was telling my husband, I think I'm dying. This is really, really bad. I don't know what to do. And interestingly enough, it was the same 3-month time period that I had just started blogging my vegan recipes. When I first started my blog on Manifest Vegan, that I was baking a lot more and working a lot harder at developing recipes, and in turn eating a lot more gluten and not realizing it. I don't think I really ate that much until I started doing hardcore recipe development every single day on my blog. And then that's when it all started getting really, really bad. And so it should have been pretty obvious to me, but I was in denial that there was anything that like bread could do bad to me because I loved it. So as far as the health benefits, I don't know. Unless you're gluten intolerant or celiac, I don't really see a need to give it up. But some people enjoy it. It makes them feel better.
I've considered giving it up just because of all my stomach problems that I've been having lately.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I know just a little backstory. So Jordan here is my wife's brother.
Okay.
And they both, maybe I'm going to be a little too open about it, but they both might have Crohn's disease. And so they're going through all the testing on that right now. So they get a lot of the symptoms
I've
for
just
that.
been going through test after test trying to figure out what exactly
Did you say
wrong.
Crohn's?
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, no. That's similar. I mean, similar side, not similar at all, but similar side effects, I think, are just, what is the word? I can't even think of it. It's similar symptoms.
Yes.
As having celiac disease. That's awful. I'm sorry about that.
It's gotten to the point where like I can see why people like get frustrated with doctors, because every time I go to the doctor, it's just test after test. You go through you get like that radioactive injection, and they CAT scan your stomach and X-rays and ultrasounds, and they're just not finding anything.
Yeah, or like 100 vials of blood, and you're just like, seriously, I can't do this anymore. And they're like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's not fun at all.
They finally sent me over to I'm gonna go see a gastroenterologist, I guess is what they're called. I don't know.
Wow, that's like a double duty. That's a double.
Yeah, I guess that's what they do, but What do they call it? It's a poop doctor? I don't
Yeah,
know.
pretty much.
Poop doctor, I don't know. What?
When I first went vegan, I was always under the assumption that just by being vegan, you would live a very healthy life. And the older I get, I realize it's not that fucking simple. Like,
Yeah.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, especially since I was really sick at the time. I was, I was off and on vegan for years and years and years. And when I finally settled down to the idea of staying vegan, I was like, oh, maybe all these horrible symptoms will go away. And they didn't. And it kind of sucked. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting them to, but I thought I would be healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I mean, I probably was compared to like eating the standard American diet. I know I was, but gluten's a bitch.
So, how old were you when you went vegan then?
The first time I was 14, I believe. I was in the 8th grade. Yeah, so I was 14. My sister was a vegetarian, and she was very, very influential in my dietary choices and in, what I was eating at restaurants. She was kind of like a mom to me a lot of ways. So, that sprung me off onto going to the library and looking up a lot of vegetarian books. And like when I was reading vegetarian cookbooks at the time when I was 14, this was a while ago, there was only tiny little sections in the back of a lot of these books that mentioned veganism. And that piqued my interest enough for me to start investigating it more. And that's when I started doing my own recipe development as a kid, because my mom wouldn't make anything for me and my dad thought I was insane. And so, I was just making my own food all the time and I really loved it.
I think a lot of kids that make the choice at a young age face very similar things. I know I did. I was 11 when I went vegetarian and 13 when I went all the way vegan. And it was, my parents, if you're going to do this, you're on your own, basically.
Yeah.
That's just it. Like, boom.
And I was 12.
And what a cool challenge in a way. I mean, it's like, well, that's fine. I'll show you, but I don't know.
Yeah, but on the flip side, I grew up in rural Utah around farms. And so like I'd get recipes and, recipes back then, as you probably know, weren't as developed and things weren't as readily available. So like it would call for nutritional yeast and I'd go to the store and be like, what's nutritional yeast? They'd just look at me like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I've even heard of nutritional yeast until I started looking into the internet when I was in college. So for all that time, I was just living with whatever I had. Because I grew up in Ohio, kind of like Utah, I guess. But there was definitely nothing around. There's still, I don't think, very many vegan-friendly restaurants. A few, but yeah, it's strange. I remember finding my first recipe for an egg replacer, and I still think about it to this day. It was a teaspoon of baking powder to 2 tablespoons of water equals 1 egg. And I found that on the internet back when there was like no pictures online. And I thought that was so cool. And that started it all for me, I think.
So what do you use as a binder?
Kind of everything nowadays. I don't use baking powder as much, but some things don't need any binder. So I'll use chia or flax eggs and silken tofu or besan, the chickpea flour from Indian groceries specifically. It's like a different type of chickpea that's been ground into, and that works wonderful if you just mix it with a little bit of water and make it into a slurry.
Is that the same flour that they use to make like pakoras, like the deep fried?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's
I call it pakora flour.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what it's really called.
That works.
Well, I've noticed there's a difference, like when you pick up chickpea flour from Bob's Red Mill or something, it's not the same. I don't know it just doesn't like make the same type of binder or bread that I like to eat. So there's something different there. I should look into that more. But
I'm still ghetto. I usually use cornstarch.
Oh, that works too. That's good.
Cornstarch and water.
Yeah, it's cheap and easy.
Yeah. Have you gone the flax egg? That's pretty ubiquitous. Everyone's doing that these days.
Yeah, it's. When you use the flax? I always pre-mix my flax like with water and then blend it together. But I've been reading a lot of people now will grind up the flax and then add the water secondary.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I used to microwave it, as strange as that sounds, to like make it extra goopy. But I mean, it works for certain things better, but just leave it sitting in a bowl for 5 minutes and it's good to go.
I've also heard if you just let it just sit like almost overnight, that it just gets super goopy.
And it lasts for a couple days if you make a decent amount of it, like 3 days or so.
Yeah, good point. Definitely.
Because when I was a pastry chef at a little restaurant, that's what we used to use.
Flax.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. That's cool. That's really cool.
I like it.
Not really. I like cooking and all, but I hate cooking for other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
I like cooking, but I seem to always fail at baking. Like, I just don't know anything. I don't know that you're supposed to only fill the pan halfway full and the cake will overflow. Like, I'm just dumb.
Well, the recipe should tell you that. Any decent recipe should tell you.
You have to read the recipe first.
Yeah, they all rise at different. I mean, yeah, that's interesting.
So when you're developing recipes, how does one do that? I don't like. What's the process of developing a recipe?
Oh man, sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it's, I don't know. It comes from a lot of, like, I've been baking since I was 8 years old. So I know a good deal about, and this is traditional baking with eggs and butter and Crisco of all things, just, those ingredients. So that's what I kind of grew up knowing. So by the time I was 14 and I started baking vegan, I did the kind of mindset where I'm just going to veganize everything, just replace butter with margarine or coconut oil or whatever. And then, the eggs with my baking powder mixture, or whatever I was using at the time. So nowadays, it's a lot more intuitive for me. I know what a cake batter should look like. I know what a brownie batter should look like after several horrible attempts at doing it. I kind of understand that, but then a lot of times it just comes from inspiration that I'm looking through any magazines, or I'm at a restaurant or something and something seems good. So like the flavor profiles appeal to me, like just something real generic, like pear and ginger, whatever. That's interesting. So how can I bring that into something else? Like, or maybe I'd like to make that into a cookie or a cupcake or something. So then I kind of go with the basic cupcake recipe and add the flavors in. And then while I'm there, I might notice that I have like an extra amount of vanilla beans or something. So I'll make some sort of glaze that'll go with that. But there's nothing really like concrete on how I develop recipes. But I think having a good understanding, a fundamental understanding of baking is good. Once you start recognizing like what a chocolate chip cookie dough should look like, as opposed to, a pressed cookie or something like that, it's a lot easier. It's just kind of like replacing fats with other fats and, using what you have on hand, I guess. A lot of times, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think it's easier to learn traditional baking and then move to vegan baking, or is it harder to just go straight to vegan baking?
That's a good question. I think that either place you start is good. I don't think that I think that me as a baker, knowing traditional baking has helped me understand how unnecessary certain ingredients are, like eggs or milk or butter, or cream for that matter. But for someone just starting out vegan baking, I think it might be easier for them because certain ingredients aren't as temperamental, like when you have like a non-dairy milk, you can pretty much use anything, where I think a lot of people that are in, baking or something and they have, calls for 2% cow's milk or just cow's milk or whatever, that they think that they have to have that, and they don't realize that they can replace that liquid a lot of times with other liquids, whether it be coconut cream or water or apple juice or whatever they have on hand. So I think that in one hand, vegan baking opens up this idea that, anything's really possible as long as you have like a liquid to a fat to like a flour, that you'll be good to go. Now, gluten-free baking is a completely different animal, and I don't even that's a hard one. I think that they're really different camps. When you're like baking regular gluten-free goods, you notice that a lot of recipe developers just rely almost entirely on eggs, and so you'll have one recipe for making a cake that requires 12 eggs because they don't have gluten to keep the flours bound together, whereas like I try to look for other alternatives. So I don't know, I guess it kind of depends on where you're coming at baking wise. It's all chemistry, that's all it really is.
And so it's not as simple as just replacing regular wheat flour with something like rice flour. You have to.
No, definitely not. Now there's those all-purpose flours that are pretty good. I haven't used them in years. unless I'm like really in a pinch at a relative's house or something where they want me to whip up something and like I don't have any access to flours, then I'll look to Bob's Red Mill or something, all-purpose flour. But no, you definitely need to combine flours with gluten-free baking a lot more than you would, all-purpose flour. There's really not one all-purpose flour. I'd say that the what would you call it? Bakura flour, the Beisan, is probably the closest, or buckwheat. Sometimes you can get away with that. But what I found is you always need like a solid flour, like brown rice flour, sorghum flour, buckwheat flour, teff flour. Any of those, or the Beisan is like a good solid foundation flour. And then like a starch, whether it be potato or cornstarch or arrowroot, is always good. And then like an extra sticky starch, whether it be like sweet white rice flour or tapioca flour or I'm trying to think of some other ones.
So do you have all this in your kitchen at all times?
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, that's not even like a quarter of it, though. That's the thing. But, I do this for a living, so I have to have everything stocked at all times. When I write recipes or like in my cookbooks, I try to limit that because I know it's overwhelming for people. But yeah, it's always, they last forever too. I mean, they really do last a really long time because you only use a little bit of each one instead of like 3 cups of each.
Okay, that was something I was actually always curious about. Why, when I'm reading a lot of gluten-free recipes, why there were multiple types of flour.
They're scary, honestly.
Like
you read it and you're like, what the hell is this?
That's a really long list of ingredients.
I agree. A lot of people don't understand that. Like what I do specifically is I always, just like a lot of wonderful people like Issa Chandra try to replicate, omnivorous foods or whatever. I try to go back to replicating glutinous foods. So I want my cupcakes to not taste gluten-free. So it takes a lot of flour experimentation, and the blends that I post specifically are the ones that I find work to capture that taste and texture the best. But it is overwhelming, especially when people come to my website and they don't realize I'm a gluten-free blogger. And then they think, veganism is so hard. And so I have to be like, no, this is just use all-purpose flour. You'll probably be okay. I don't know.
I know just enough about baking to realize I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I can follow a recipe just fine.
You make great chocolate chip cookies.
But it's the recipe. It's not really me.
Well, there you go. I mean, we all appropriate, I don't know who came up with the first chocolate chip recipe, but I'm sure he was a wonderful man or woman, and,
I owe them a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I ate way too many chocolate chip cookies.
Good.
Yes. So, what would you use in chocolate chip cookies as a replacement for, I guess, normal flour?
I'm trying to think. I have one in my cookbook. It uses, I have like several now. This is bad, but one of them, my favorites, uses super fine brown rice flour, which is, I actually discovered this via Julie Hassan from Everyday Dish TV. She's a vegan cookbook author, but it's pretty popular now, but it's called super fine brown rice flour, and it's double milled, so it's extra fine and silky like regular wheat flour would be.
Okay.
And then you mix that with a little bit of sorghum flour, which is a really great flour. And I think there might be potato starch or cornstarch in there, and maybe a little bit of almond flour. I could be completely misquoting my own recipe because I know I have another one out there. But essentially those, and then a touch of xanthan gum, which binds it all together. And then you just get the chocolate chip cookie dough has like a weird kind of flaky, but it kind of sticks together texture. That's the way I like to think of it. It like kind of folds onto each other. So once you get that texture, your cookie is good to go. And it probably has like a flax egg or something in it too, vanilla, sugar, brown sugar, maybe margarine. I think there's margarine in it.
It's actually making me hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
See, I've seen all of that, like the xanthan gum and all of that stuff in the bulk section of like most places and stuff. I just never, thought that I would use it. So I guess, like he was saying, you have all of this on hand.
Yeah.
That's just, that is crazy to think about.
It is. It was so much easier when I had all-purpose flour, that's for sure. But to that, I didn't eat nearly as many grains and everything in my own desserts. So I was always eating a lot of all-purpose flour. And now I'm, eating chickpeas and quinoa and buckwheat and teff and millet and all these things that I probably never would have eaten, aside from whole grain form or something like that.
But I get bread.
Yes, but you get bread and gluten.
Sorry, just...
You can eat a tofurkey. You're a jerk.
Yeah,
I know.
That's my other thing is like, what do you do anything for meat alternatives? Most of them are wheat based.
Yeah, most of them are wheat based. There's those like tofu pops or something. I can eat those. And I mostly eat beans and stuff. Now the Beyond Meat stuff has come out, and I like that a lot.
I didn't know Beyond Meat was wheat free.
Yes, and it's awesome because of that. That's the only one that I found that I really, really enjoy. I do really enjoy that. So that's good.
Yeah. I know Veggie One makes some vegan seafood with yam flour, but I don't know if it's wheat free or not completely.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. I remember eating the little vegan shrimps before I found out I had celiac disease, and those were weird and neat. So
Yeah, those are weird.
They are definitely weird.
Yeah. But they have the mushroom stems as well, or the mushroom based.
Yeah, they do have the mushroom stems. Veggie One does. But they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Like, they're only in, like, the really weird Oriental markets. So.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, some of those Asian markets that I found here in Philly have a lot of different types of tofu. So I eat that, too, occasionally when I go there and eat that stuff. But mostly beans, legumes for me.
And I love beans, so
they're
a
awesome.
staple. That's because I'm cheap. Really.
And then there's TVP and soy rizo. I make my own soy rizo too. I like that stuff a lot.
Do you make that out of TBP?
Yeah, or tempeh or whatever you have on hand. Sometimes mushrooms. I mean, it kind of depends. I
would have assumed that TVP had gluten in it.
Some do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of things that have like soy protein isolate. I don't know what that is exactly, but
I'm not really sure either. But it's not gluten.
It's not gluten.
But it's not gluten.
It's not gluten.
It's like those.
And then, we can't forget about tofu. I do eat a lot of tofu. So, not a lot, but, enough.
I always tell people I don't eat a lot. Now I think about it, I'm like, I probably eat way more than they think.
Yeah. Me too.
I love tofu, though. I love making it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You make your own? That's really neat.
Yes, but I don't most of the tofu I eat is not the tofu I make, just because it takes so much time.
Yeah.
But I love making it. It's like a whole Saturday if you're going to make it.
Do you use what's the stuff that you get off the top? Is it sounds like Osaka or something. That...
I think it's pronounced like Akara?
Yes, Okara.
The fiber.
Yeah. I've never tried that, but I want to.
You can make decent patties out of it, like hamburger patties type of thing. That's what I've always done with it.
Is it kind of like seitan?
No.
No.
Not
sorry.
No. It's way more fibery. It's not like it doesn't bind together very well. You have to add other things to help it bind.
Huh.
So, but the one thing I do like about making the tofu is every part of it you can use. Like the whey is an actual disinfectant and it's kind of sweet. You can drink it just plain.
You can use what's the stuff that you use to mop floors?
The whey.
Yeah.
The whey. Yeah. Nisoya, that's what they use to clean all their machinery, is the whey.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's actually really cool stuff. And it has this really weird sweet flavor to it.
Yeah. I love homemade tofu a lot more than store-bought. Homemade soy milk
is gross.
It's gross. But I think it's just because it's not sweetened.
Yeah, I'm way too used to sugar.
I guess you could always add agave or something to it, but I don't know.
Or if you're me, sugar.
Yeah, sugar. That works too.
Yeah.
So every vegan I know has dreams of making their own cookbook or starting their own restaurant or something in that area. How did you get so lucky?
Oh man. Well, I had the same dream. It actually started with I wanted my own cake shop or bakery, and then I realized that was going to be way too much work on my part. I mean, like I didn't want to be there that much. And I was like, this might not work. I also have kids, so that's just not the best thing to do, I think. So I started thinking about all the other things in life that I love, and cookbooks was definitely my second choice. I've been in love with them since I was little, and like you said, everyone kind of dreams about writing a cookbook. Not everyone, but many people do. And I thought, like, how can I make this work for me? And so Issa Chandra was like a real big inspiration for me. I guess when I picked up her first book, Vegan with a Vengeance, I was like, yes, this is so awesome. This is what we need more of this. And I thought, how could I possibly do this? Like, I don't really know anything about that. And I started also reading Vegan Yum Yum's blog, Lauren Ohm. She started blogging again, but I don't know how much she's been doing with that. But that was her blog, I think, started in like 2007 or something. And I kind of watched her progression go from, like blogger to like really popular blogger to then cookbook author. And I thought, that's like a cool formula. I wonder how that works. And so I really just started researching publishing, how to get a cookbook deal, how to get everything. And that led to finding out how to get an agent, how to build a platform. And so I rigorously just started working on all those things. And the whole time I thought, if I don't get a cookbook deal, whatever, at least I'm sharing gluten or vegan recipes at the time, vegan recipes, and then eventually gluten-free recipes, and helping people understand that it's not that deprived of a lifestyle. And so, I just kept working toward that goal. I wasn't really trying to get traffic at the time or any followers per se, but I was trying to get a good log of like what I knew, what I could share with other people, kind of some like real basic recipes out of the way, so I could in turn at least show somebody that I know how to cook, And it worked. Honestly, I just started working on a proposal from what I learned. I read the book Will Write for Food, which is something I recommend to everybody. It's by Diane Jacob. If you're ever interested in writing a cookbook, pick up this book. And I started checking off the things that I had already done that she had mentioned in the book to do. And then I started following the other things that I was looking to do. And eventually I felt pretty confident that I could probably, swing a book deal at some point, or at least get somebody interested, because at the time, especially when I got diagnosed, there was like no gluten-free vegan books out there at all. So there was like one, but she wasn't actually vegan. And I guess the recipes were pretty like, nah. So I started thinking there's a need for this. Like, we need to have somebody out there doing this. So I started really working on my cookbook proposal, which took like 6 months or something like that. And essentially a proposal is like a miniature cookbook, like show these publishers what you're made of. And so I did that. And then once I had that pretty much ready, I wrote a blog post and said like, hey, I'm going to try to publish a cookbook this year. We'll see if it works. I don't know. And then like a week later, an editor contacted me and was like, let me see your proposal. We're interested in your book. And so it kind of all took off from there. So I would recommend blogging. Is like, you need to have a blog, because no one will ever know you're out there unless you have like really great credentials, from a culinary academy or something, and you have great networking. It's a really easy way to get into the business without any specific background, because I have an art background. I don't have a culinary background, although I've always liked to cook.
So you mentioned you have kids. How many kids do you have?
I have 2. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old.
How do you bring them into the kitchen? I have a little 6-year-old, and it's always a struggle for me to find what's appropriate to do with her, because she wants to be there.
Yeah, stirring is good. My 4-year-old is pretty intense. She'll just climb up. I have step stools because I have high cabinets in my kitchen, and she'll just climb up on the step stool before I know it. And she's like, what's in the pot, while it's like boiling or something. And that's not good. I wouldn't recommend doing that or letting her strain the pasta or something. But she does help with stirring a lot. So that's one way to get involved. I tried to get my son involved, and he's just like, he cooks for himself. And he likes doing that, but he's not really that interested in watching me cook or learning from me. But start small, and then get them kind of interested in what ingredients they like and how to, like she had a birthday recently and she really wanted me to make cupcakes. So she asked specifically for pink cupcakes with cherries on top. So we kind of worked together to make those come to life.
Is your whole family gluten-free now because of
No,
you?
definitely not. Definitely not. But you know, I make stuff that I can eat. Like it's easier for me to make one meal than two. So, you know, at dinner time they are generally, but if we go out to eat or something, they're not.
Makes sense.
What are some of your staples? Like everyone has their, you know, their little staples that they always are cooking all the time. Like,
Yeah.
so what would your staples actually be?
Brown rice pasta is because I generally spend like all day on my blog or on my cookbooks. I'm working on my third cookbook right now, so that's a big kind of time investment for me. Or, you know, researching other things or cooking, just recipe development. So by the time dinner comes around, I get kind of lazy. And I like to do really easy things like brown rice pasta with vegetables. Like tonight for dinner, I had brown rice pasta. It was like a mac and cheese type thing. Tinkyata is the brand. I love it. And then on top of that, I put a sauté of broccoli and red peppers. Like super easy, but you know, enough to feed us. And then also arugula with that.
Super easy and delicious, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
Pasta's
is.
always a staple for me, too.
And we
Yes.
also do pizza a lot, but I use the chickpea flour pizza, so it's really easy. I can just, you make it up, basically dump a bunch of beisan in a bowl, add a little bit of olive oil, enough salt to flavor it, but you don't want to taste it because raw beisan's nasty, like really, really gross in my opinion. Some people like it, I don't. Then you add enough water to make it like a pancake batter consistency, and then you bake it in the oven at 385 for like 15 minutes until it solidifies, and then you put the toppings on and bake it at 450 or a higher temperature, and you get pizza, and it's really easy. We do that a lot too.
What do you do for breakfast foods? Like, I'm sorry, I have so much ignorance with this. Like, you said pancake batter. I'm like, oh my god, you can't eat pancakes.
No, I can't eat pancakes. Although I'm not really a big breakfast person, like a heavy breakfast person. I like breakfast for dinner. Pancakes are kind of the same thing as cookies or cakes. You just make, you know, different flours to make things work. And then, of course, like France has buckwheat crepes and stuff, which are essentially just buckwheat flour, an egg or an egg replacer, and then, you know, some milk or water or whatever. Almond milk is always something that I use that a ton. So you can whip those up. But like usually for breakfast, I personally have a green smoothie. And that's not till like 11:30 because my breakfast is black coffee generally. 7 a.m. until 11:30. I'm not the healthiest vegan out there, I don't think. But then I eat a green smoothie, which I really like. Or I also have this cereal. It's made out of buckwheat groats, which are toasted buckwheat. Don't eat raw buckwheat.
Yeah.
You will break your teeth. But it's toasted. It's called kasha. And I mix that with, you know, a sweetener, either like sucanat or regular sugar will work, or sometimes I even go with date sugar if I'm feeling extra healthy, and then some dried fruit and like coconut slivers and some almonds, and put some almond milk on it, and it makes an awesome cereal. But then there's tons of gluten-free cereal too if you want to go that route. And then some people can eat oats. I can't because my body sucks and it hates me, but you can eat oats as well if they're gluten-free, if you don't have an oat intolerance.
You make me feel super unhealthy.
Oh, that's good because yeah.
But I will admit I'm a total junk food vegan. So
Yeah. I love junk food. Like tater tots are one of my deepest, darkest pleasures. I love them.
Yeah, my wife's too. I don't think I ever don't have a huge bag of tater tots in the freezer.
Yeah, like the giant ones. What is that?
We do too. All varieties of French fries. You have to have your.
They're so good.
You have to have your sweet potato fries and your. I don't know. Can you actually hold on one second?
Sure.
I want to know if someone knocks on the door.
There's a 6-year-old at the door.
Aw.
No.
Why? Why when mom gets home?
Okay, as long as you don't leave the courtyard.
I won't.
Okay. Love you.
Alright. We're back.
Kids are great. I love them.
Okay, sorry, that's my daughter.
Aw.
Yeah, she's cute and a handful.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
I hear always. I don't know. So this is my mother, so.
Well, has your 10-year-old got any easier as it goes?
My 10-year-old has been a dream since the day he was born, but my 4-year-old, she's just an entirely different person. It's so strange. Like my 10-year-old, just like he's really quiet. He does what he's told. For the most part, he stays, to himself. But my 4-year-old is just like, she's always questioning me and testing me and
Good job.
being cute.
Definitely. Sorry, she actually came right back in again.
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Usually. There we go.
she wanted to tell me she could ride her bike now without falling down on corners.
Oh, that's a big, huge thing. That's really cool.
I honestly thought she already could. So, I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, she's a handful. So, were your kids raised vegan?
Well, my son, like I said, off and on. Actually, my daughter, yes, let's just put it that way. But my son, off and on. Now that he's 10, he's trying to explore his own dietary things. So, we do it here. And then...
That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a strange thing.
I know at one point, like, my daughter's gonna want to, like, do that and be her own, but I don't want her to.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to, like, I don't want to be that overbearing parent to, like, push her away from it either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a tough decision. Like, I never thought that that's what he would do. But it happened. And like conversely, like my best friend in grade school went vegetarian when she was 10. So I'm like, what the heck? I don't know. I guess that's just their time for individual thinking and whatever. I just try to be a positive example and, like feed him extra kale and stuff when I can to try to compensate. But he doesn't eat out like ever, like on his own. So it's really not a concern for me as much. And I also try to push like, think about what you're eating and, that's all really important and why you're doing that type of stuff. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. But I have a niece who's been vegetarian her whole life, and then she never ate meat, and she's vegan now. So it's a strange. I mean, it could never happen to your child.
Well,
So.
the one thing that we've always been like, if she ever sees something that she wants, we'll try to find the vegan version of it for her.
Yes.
And right now the big thing is she wants to try gummy candy.
Oh.
Like she's like, my friends all have gummy candy. I want gummy candy.
Interesting. We have some here in Philly that is, it's at the Reading Terminal Market, but yeah, I just saw some of that. I don't know how they do it. They make it, it's not like with agar or anything like that, but I know that there's gummy candies out there, probably not as readily available as
I know they exist.
Yeah.
I tried making some, and they came out more like what are those things called, dots?
Yeah.
When I tried to make some with Ekar. So it's not really what you're looking for though, because that's more of like a hard gummy and not like a squishy gummy. So that would be something that's hard. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. The many shades of gummies.
Yeah.
Maybe fruit pectin. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we found her vegan M&Ms.
Cool.
Those were so gross.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But we found like it was a really bad off-brand, so it wasn't even real chocolate. It was just chocolate flavored. So it was like chocolate flavored wax, basically.
Yeah.
But she loved it. She was like, "Yay!"
There's so many great chocolatiers out there now, but like they're really fancy. I don't know, like it's not kid friendly necessarily. Like Lagusta's Luscious and those things they taste really wonderful too. But just the new flavors they have coming out are really interesting to me.
I love chocolate.
Yeah,
so
it's
much.
good.
so much.
We have the Hatch Family Chocolatiers here.
Yeah.
Which I think they had they
were on the TLC. Yeah, they show on the TLC.
Oh wow!
Did you ever see the show The Little Chocolatiers?
Yeah,
they're little people that have a little chocolate shop here. They're absolutely amazing.
Really?
Yeah, and they.
Is that online? I don't have a television. I mean, I have a television set, but it's only hooked to like Netflix and Amazon.
It was on for 2 seasons. I think last year was the last season.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to bring it back or not, but they actually separate their vegan chocolate and everything for you. It's fantastic.
They have like probably the best vegan hot chocolate that you could ever have. Instead of being like a powdery hot chocolate, it's actually like liquid melted chocolate.
It's goo. It's awesome.
It's super rich.
Yes.
That sounds really good.
Their sea salt truffles are just to die for.
It's a little,
God.
a little hint of salt, just.
Yeah, the sea salt. I mean, for people that haven't had sea salt and chocolate, go eat some now. I don't just put it in your palm and put some chocolate chips in there and just eat it.
It's amazing. It's like
So
the
good.
perfect combination.
So good.
Love it.
I agree.
We're totally vegan.
I knew I had a problem with chocolate when I spent $15 on a piece of hazelnut covered chocolate. I'm like, yeah, this is a problem.
Oh, but hazelnut and chocolate is another wonderful thing.
Oh man, yes it is. Yes,
And I'll spend a lot of money. I found some, I guess it was at Whole Foods, I found some vegan white chocolate. I don't know when it was, but it was like $13 for like 2 ounces. And I totally spent that and ate it in like a second. It was wonderful. So
It's been a long time since I've had white chocolate.
yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah, that's something I haven't even really thought about. Isn't white chocolate traditionally not vegan? Like,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
usually has like a bunch of milk, butter fat, and milk solids in it that makes it unvegan. But you can make it yourself with soy milk powder, or I don't know if they make almond milk powder or coconut milk powder. I don't know, but like dehydrated soy milk, and replace that using cacao butter, which is that gets into the whole chemistry thing again, but it's really easy. But then they also sell it online. There's this one brand, you can look it up. They sell them for like $3.95 a bag, and they're vegan white chocolates. You can get them on Amazon.
That's not bad.
That's
That's
not
not bad at all.
Yeah,
I was,
pretty good.
A little while ago, I was reading a recipe on making your own palm oil margarine.
Yes,
Have
Brianna
you-
Clark Grogan's.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you
that's
tried that?
Yes, and it's hard.
It looks like daunting.
It is. It's a little daunting.
But
But it's cool, and I mean, I haven't tried baking with it, so
is it good though?
yeah. I mean, it tastes. I think it's about the salt. Like honestly, I think that's where a lot of the flavor comes from. Because I've had various types of margarine, and I like the Earth Balance brand the best because of its kind of salty, buttery flavor, where a lot of other ones are lacking in that. And I think that if you add the right amount of salt to it, you should be good to go. Not too much, or it'll be really gross. But
Not too much.
yeah.
I like how accurate that is. Add some, but not too much.
Well, it's in the recipe. Again, all the recipe.
I've always had a hard time with vegan margarines because they either seem to be really expensive and good or really cheap and shitty.
Yeah.
Like there's no like in between.
I usually go with the cheap and shitty just because it's cheap and shitty.
Does it work good for you?
It works great for me.
That's good. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I like to leave mine open. Like I always call for vegan margarine. Like, use your favorite or whatever. Especially when I do recipe testing, like everyone uses different types of margarine, and some people hate margarine and they only use coconut oil or whatever. So that,
I always get weirded out when a recipe gets very specific about what to use.
Smart balance.
Like only use 100% non-GMO organic. I'm like, is that really going to make a difference in this?
It's really not, in my opinion. And I got yelled at for that from various publishers, just telling me, that's a little bit too much. Let's not go that route. We just say sugar and, things like that. So
Yeah.
sometimes it backfires.
And you can always add something in the preface, I guess. But
Yeah.
sugar's a thing.
There's lots of types.
Do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
I feel like I always have to have that disclaimer. Like my blog being gluten-free, I get a lot of people sending me emails and things telling me that my ingredients aren't pure enough or natural enough or toxic or whatever, because they associate my gluten-free, I think, with health blogs or whatever. So they're saying I don't understand how you can promote being gluten-free when you use so much salt or so much sugar or so much margarine in your recipes. What are you talking about? It's gluten-free, So there's a whole bunch of those complaints out there from various people.
How do you handle that? Like, how do you handle when people actually come up to you and say that?
I just try to give them the same like box answer that, like I'm doing this because I have to, essentially, not because I'm trying to like I'm trying to think of the healthier than thou. That's like not my practice. I'm not trying to be like that. I respect it if you do, and if you don't eat sugar or refined sugar, or so I don't even really understand the differences in a lot of them. Like the difference between coconut sugar and turbinado to me seems pretty slim, and I know that there's some nutrient value in that. Coconut sugar versus turbinado sugar, but they work the same in recipes for me. So I'm like, use whatever you want. Use what sits best with you as a consumer or, as an eater or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I handle it. I try to leave everything open. I don't want to offend anyone, and I certainly don't want to discredit anybody's dietary choices because clearly I have my own set of them that I can't judge. But
I'm the crazy one that when found out Oreos were vegan, ate like an entire package in 30 minutes.
yeah.
So I'm not healthy. I'm not here to say that.
That's okay. Oreos are great. I miss those too. And the golden Oreos, I don't know if they're still vegan, but I think right before I got diagnosed, they were, and I ate a lot of those.
They are, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because that's what my wife prefers, and I hate them.
Really?
Yeah.
I like them both. I mean, they're like those duplex cookies that I used to get as a kid.
Have you seen the mega Oreos they have now?
No.
They're not double
God.
stuff, they're like quadruple stuff.
Yeah. But it makes you want to eat them because when you read the calories, there's only 10 more calories per cookie. And you're like, well, I should eat this.
How is that possible?
I think all the calories have to be in the wafer.
Yeah, and it's just fat in the
Yeah, it's just fat. And so...
like Atkins diet or something.
Totally. I never thought about Oreos falling in the Atkins diet, but they might.
Yeah.
Like
Just throw off the wafer and eat the cream filling. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But I actually got those mega Oreos and then double stacked the mega Oreos.
Of course, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Because I'm a good role model for my daughter.
I try to just triple stack it. Take the cream out of one and then take the two sides of the others.
Yeah.
Come on. So do you think that people usually associate vegans with gluten-free because of the health?
I do. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people think that I'm both strictly for dietary reasons, not like by choice on either side. Like I'm just trying to be healthy, so I'm vegan and gluten-free or whatever. And then I get, like I said, a lot of the people that come onto my blog are very confused as to why my recipes are gluten-free or aren't. They don't even understand, and that's something I want to make really clear is that, they're not tied together, even though they are on my blog specifically. Like there's vegan and then there's gluten-free and then there's like a billion different facets of each of those as you go on. I mean, because there's like the raw community is completely different than the regular vegan community, less regular folks or whatever. And then there's the gluten-free vegans. So yeah, I think a lot of people do get that misconception more so because of the prevalence of, I would assume like grocery stores, how they have everything labeled vegan, gluten-free, and it's kind of like together or whatever.
Yeah. So have you ever been tempted just to sneak something that had gluten in it?
Oh, gosh, no, not intentionally. Well, when I first got diagnosed, I drank a few beers and that was stupid. But then it didn't help anything. But no, because it's so bad when I get gluten. I mean, it's just I look 7 or 8 months pregnant, like probably anywhere from 20 minutes to a day after I eat it.
Wow,
my
really?
stomach just completely explodes, and then I get migraines, and then I get skin pain and a variety of other issues. And I've gotten gluten like stupid times where I'm like drinking a cider and my husband's drinking a beer, like a really dark beer, and one time I accidentally drank his beer. That sucked. And
so is it just the smallest amount will set you off now?
Yes, tiny amount. Like sometimes I don't even know where it came from. I could be making my kid a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and, maybe not wash my hands well enough and I could get gluten. It doesn't happen as much. And at first, like soy sauce, a lot of soy sauce have wheat in them.
What?
And I didn't realize that at first until every time I was eating soy sauce, I was getting a migraine. And then I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. So there's a lot of things. You have to be really vigilant about not.
That's why I heard a lot of people use Bragg's to replace that.
Yeah, or tamari. I prefer tamari. Bragg's has like when you're eating sushi, it's just not the same. But then there's also like the generic soy sauces. A lot of them don't have wheat in it for some reason.
I had no idea that soy sauce had gluten in it.
Yeah, I made something for a potluck and I felt really bad because somebody was gluten intolerant and it fucked with them.
Yeah. And it happens. I mean, it's like you have good intentions. My sister-in-law once, when I first got diagnosed, she was really sweet. She's like not vegan at all, or even would consider it. But she made me a stew, and it was just full of barley and I think soy sauce. So I had eaten it, and I was like, oh no, I think I just ate a ton of barley, which is full of gluten. So that was bad. But I mean, it happens. I get over it. As long as I'm not eating it long term, I don't think that there's going to be any ill effects with my health from now on.
So what is something that has gluten in it that you would just never think of, like soy sauce? I would never thought that had gluten in it.
Beer, that was another one I just didn't think of.
Yeah. Oh, let me think. Gosh, like everything in my life. There's a lot of veggie meats that you would think are like, soy based hot dogs and stuff that wouldn't have. And there's a lot of vital wheat gluten in those. I'm trying to think of other things I have to be specific about. Condiments are probably the worst, I would say.
Really?
You think that they're fine. They're just saucy stuff. But then you look at it, it has like wheat or malt, and I don't think maltodextrin. I don't eat anything with malt, or the word malt in it, that I have to stay away from.
Is Vegenaise fine?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. That's
It's so good. I love that stuff. Definitely.
it's the death of me.
Yeah.
Totally.
Then what about like
we go through a lot of that.
what about like vegan cheeses? Are those like? Because I see that sometimes they have like wheat or gluten to bind them, but I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, I've had pretty good luck with those. And I don't know how you guys say it. I say Daya. Some people I've heard say Daya. The Daiya, and that's fine. The other ones that I found have been okay. I think teas. I don't really enjoy teas as much as I like Daya. So that Daya, I don't know what to call it now, but that's what I eat, and I like that.
What about
and that's fine.
Follow your heart?
Yeah, that stuff's good to go too.
Sweet. That's good, at least.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
I was gonna say mac and
mostly it's
cheese,
just
but
like seitan and like the veggie burgers and all the prepackaged stuff. That's what I can't eat a lot of. Or like some sneaky falafel places will put wheat flour in their falafel, and that just pisses me off because I can't eat them. And then like you're like, oh gosh, if you would have just left it out and made it traditionally. And some of them do, but
those bastards.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make a falafel,
make a falafel.
Yeah.
So
but that's about it. I don't know.
It doesn't. It sounds totally doable, but I don't get why I don't do it by choice. If that makes sense.
I don't either. I will be 100% honest with you. I would never do it by choice. And in fact, when I first found out, there was like 3 months of crying episodes, and my husband had to be like, you know what, this is okay. You're going to be fine. And I'm like, I don't have any purpose in life anymore because all I wanted to do was be a vegan cookbook author. And so he was like, well, you're just going to be a vegan gluten-free cookbook author. And I'm like, what? Who the hell wants to read that? And apparently a lot of people did.
Well, it's worked well for you so far.
Yeah, it's been okay.
But me and my wife have had long conversations at night about if my daughter did end up with celiac, like what would we do? And she's like, well, we would have to eat that way. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. It would be hard. You'd have to keep like contaminants in the kitchen are hard. Like I can't, if I make my family regular pasta, like I can't use that pot unless it's been run through the dishwasher or unless it's like been super sterilized or something like that. Like you have to be really, and no like cross-contamination with spoons or knives or anything like that. And that's probably the most important, and keeping like a clean surface to work on. Like if there's breadcrumbs all over the place. Don't start making your daughter's dinner or whatever on top of
Wow.
that surface. But otherwise, she should be okay.
It just seems so intense.
Do you have to like keep what do they call like an EpiPen with you or what?
No,
So-
because it's not an allergy. Like if I get gluten, I'm just kind of fucked. Like there's nothing I can possibly do about it except for work through the symptoms.
How long do the symptoms usually last?
For me, about 2 days.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but they come in like weird shifts. Like the first thing I'll notice is my stomach will start growing. Like it gets really hard and huge. And then like I always say, oh my God, I've been gluten. And then from there, like the stomach pain will persist for like a day or so. And in that time, I'll also get a headache and like skin pain. And sometimes like a rash. Otherwise, like I'm pretty normal, I guess. I just feel bad,
I saw that with one of my friends. They have, I don't know how severe it is. I'm assuming not very severe because they eat gluten all the time, but their stomach will grow like that, and we would always just poke it. It is actually hard. It's weird.
It is really hard. It's like a basketball inside of your stomach. It's so strange.
Oh, sorry. One more time. I have to
I
hold.
want to know if I can go ask in the back and see if Allah or Gracie can play.
Oh no, because the sun's going down.
Okay.
Okay, just in
Okay. Jeremy, you want to play with me, but they keep saying go in the back, and I keep telling them no, and they keep going in the back.
It's hard being 6, huh? Yeah. Okay, go outside.
Dad,
Mhm.
I'm knocking on Riker's and Allie's door, but only once, to see if they were home, and they weren't home.
Okay,
And they want to play with someone.
okay. Well, we're almost done, okay?
Okay,
Let me guess.
please, can you see if Paula or Gracie can go?
Only thing coming with the courtyard.
Okay,
Okay.
can I go?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I am the biggest pushover.
It's so easy to be.
Especially when my wife's not here to say no.
Yeah.
And making
gotta
me
have-
the stern one. I feel so bad for her. She just wants to play.
I know. They're so little and innocent, and that's like their main motive in life. It's like to play, right?
Yeah, that's all she wants to do is
Yeah.
play. I feel it's always feel weird. So do your kids have any vegan friends? Like your daughter, she's 4. How has that been for her?
Pretty okay. Like that doesn't really, like, she doesn't go to daycare or anything like that. Like, so she just stays home with me most of the time. And like when we go out and about, everyone's really accommodating, like everybody. And actually, like one of her friends has maybe he doesn't have a dairy allergy, but he just prefers it. Like, it doesn't really bother him too much. My son is like in school now, and he was in Boy Scouts. And so it was kind of like one of those things where they're all having whatever, and he wants to eat that to kind of just blend in. So that's been like the hardest struggle, I think, is to kind of, because you can't tell the kids that what their parents are doing is not the same as yours, because they don't even like have that concept yet that food matters. A lot of them don't, at least that I've noticed. So.
That's funny that Boy Scouts is what's doing it for him, because going vegan is what made me get out of Boy Scouts. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Same thing.
He's not in it anymore either, so that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I feel really lucky for my daughter, though. She's in kindergarten now, and she actually has 2 vegetarian kids and 1 vegan kid in her kindergarten class.
Yeah, it's a common thing. It's way more common now.
Yeah,
I definitely see that. So when my daughter gets into kindergarten, I don't know what's going to happen, but I would assume that's going to be pretty common, because I know that there was, I don't remember what organization he was in, maybe it was school, but there was definitely some other vegetarian and at least 2 other vegan kids that are dairy intolerant or something where they just didn't eat that. So I think it's not like it was when I was a kid back in the 80s and everything was just,
I was literally the only one in my high school.
Yeah.
That was it. It was me.
Yeah.
That I knew of, at least. I don't know. I was the weird kid, sure. But whatever.
There's a few vegetarian kids, but I was the only vegan kid.
There was one vegetarian girl, and she's always like, "I don't get, you're so crazy." Which I was.
Yeah.
I will admit. No.
We always had that. I guess actually I turned my boyfriend at the time, who I guess I was 15. I made him go vegan with me. Well, I didn't make him. He decided on his own. And then when we broke up, I think he started eating meat again. So whatever. But
I'll tell you,
that's how we were.
When I was like 14, girls are what made me stay being vegan. Like, honestly, at that young age,
Totally.
Yeah, it totally impressed them.
Yeah, I
So.
bet.
At least I thought it did. I don't think it really worked, but
I'm sure it did. It would have in I went to a very farm centric, like not farm to table, like grow your own local sustainable food, like, just ag school. So everyone was very much into eating meat and potatoes and that type of thing. So I was definitely alone.
yes.
Rural Utah is very similar.
Yeah, where instead of being normal agriculture, I think I had like 4 or 5 families that had mink farms.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of mink farms here.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so that's and then also there's the dairy farms and just the meat.
Yeah. I had one that had an egg farm. I don't even know what they're called.
Yeah.
Egg hatchery, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not well liked in one of my classes where the guy was the president of the agricultural department. So I don't know. I'm be shocked. Most people are probably somehow related to some sort of agriculture around this
intensive.
area.
It's crazy.
But
well, thank you. Like, I had a lot of fun. I feel like I actually learned a little bit about being gluten-free.
Oh, good. I hope so. I hope I didn't confuse you more.
No, not at all. And then I have one of your cookbooks and looking through it. I haven't tried it very much, but it looks very doable.
Thank you. Thank you for having it. I really appreciate that. That's really amazing to me that you're like, that's great. Thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're coming out with a dessert one, right?
Yeah, so my second one hasn't actually hit the shelves yet. It's called Great Gluten-Free Vegan Eats from Around the World. So it's like a global-inspired cookbook. Mm-hmm. And then my third one is all desserts, title pending, and that's going to come out in October 2014. And it's going to be like the definitive guide. So hopefully any questions you have that need answered about how to bake or make gluten-free vegan desserts, that'll be completely covered in that book.
I have to tell you, I'm super looking forward to that one.
Great, great.
Like, honestly.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm...
Yeah.
So
great.
With the one that we have the very first one. What would be the best thing to make out of it?
Oh, try the Butterscoth Amaretti cookies. Though they're super easy, you have to use a flax egg, but it's basically like 3 or 4 ingredients. It's just salt, not that much salt. That's not the order. Start with a cup of salt. No, it's just almond flour and brown sugar and flax egg, and then some salt, and it just comes together in like the most delectable, delicious cookie you'll ever have. In my opinion.
I will definitely try it.
Yeah. And they're easy, so.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's not a mixture of flours.
It sounds right up my alley.
Sweet.
Yeah, well, when you're making it, the dough seems crumbly. You just have to keep, I guess it's pretty easy, but you have to use a lot of arm power in it, elbow grease, until the dough comes together. But trust that it will come together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try it.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you
so
very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So, this should post on, what day does this post, Jordan?
This posts Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, so we'll let you know when it posts and send you everything.
Yeah, there'll be a link and everything so I can share.
Yeah, totally.
Great,
So,
awesome.
and
Thank you so much. It was good meeting you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, totally.
And, totally a fan of your blog. I want you to know that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Okay, well, you have a wonderful night.
Okay, you too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.